There is a change in the weather. All right. Well, if I would have to try to summarize awakening without sounding too cheesy when speaking about this cheesy topic, I would say it's to begin to understand the connection between the internal world and the external world. This means to understand symbolic language and get in touch with subconsciousness and collective subconsciousness and understand synchronicities, basically. And everybody has to go on this journey alone, me included. But just as an example, I just recently posted on the YouTube page, on my YouTube channel, that I just have this feeling that the picture of, or the archetype of the Christ figure, Yeshua, Jesus, who exists in many iterations in our culture, as well as what is new is the dragon, the repressed shadow, that is a destructive force and a primitive force. Probably, if you have to connect it to the chakras, the lower chakras, and it goes back to early childhood, right? And probably it's the narcissistic phase that we should all have integrated successfully without being stuck in it. And the dragon is also someone who is keeping envious eye on a treasure that he wants for himself and guards. Therefore, when we address this dragon, the shadow that we have, there is a treasure to be revealed to ourselves. There is caught up energy that is hiding in the dark because we repress it. And the third thing, or the third archetypal quality that I think is important, is that what Nietzsche calls Dionysic, or is represented by Dionysus, the Greek god. And there is many ways to put these three together. Like you could say between Dionysus and Yeshua, there is the dragon, or you could say that between Jesus and the dragon, Dionysus is the only one who can make this connection. But what I believe is that these are also contradictions that for the rational mind are completely impossible to ever find a combination for, but that's exactly the provocation and challenge that an artist needs, or that is probably the purpose of individuation is, or the essence of individuation is, to harmonize seemingly opposites in our personality. It often is baffling for people when they meet a person that seemingly unites opposites in an effortless way. So, the rational mind would say this and this never goes together. It cannot coexist because we split it in two extreme dualistic antagonists, but then we meet a person and we say, what? It's a perfect harmony of these opposites, right? So it's possible, but it's an individual process that cannot be copied. And yeah, that's all I can say to this, all right? But what we have to understand is that this is a very individual. A train is coming. It's a very individual and internal. It's an internal process. And what I find, wait, the train is coming. I'll make a pause for a second. All right, it's gone. Now, what I find most interesting is, sorry, yeah, that just for instance, just today, a new video from Eternalized dropped, which is a YouTube creator, and he presented me a biblical interpretation of let me say, archetypal, psychological interpretation, including a biblical a passage from the Bible where exactly, and it I think it's a vision of, I don't know how, of whom, but it's a vision of a person, and exactly in this vision there is a Christ figure and a dragon that are occurring just at the same time. So a child is born and immediately confronted with a dragon. So, I mean, this is what I mean with synchronicity. So as soon there is this magic connection that whenever we put our mind on something, when we start to realize these things in our life, these topics, solutions come our way. We encounter these things. We can never put a finger on it, but it just happens. But yeah, what I want to emphasize in this video, of course, I told you, you will have your own form of awakening, synchronicities, interpretations, experiences. But what we need to understand is that these are internal processes. This is called the intuitive introvert. It means these things have an external correlation, so it changes you inside, and therefore you become another person, which is individuation. This is change. This is change, okay? And it's, I say, you can't change a person. You can't change who you are. You are who you are. You can only, there parts of you can die. This is sacrificing yourself. This is part of Yeshua. And it's very hard, especially for men, I think, to balance these qualities of Jesus, of sacrificing yourself and be loving and forgiving, but at the same time you might also embody a threat or to be dangerous in order to not be pushed over. So what it's like when I talk about Nietzsche, the knight of the hearts and the knight of the swords. These are seemingly opposites, but to bring them together in one person in harmony, this is the challenge, because in order to live in the world that we live, we have to do this. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful content of life, because it's a challenge. Yeah. So I just wanted to put this out, a self-reflection, and I want to point out to everybody, each one, has his own topics, his own shadow, his own topic, the own sequence, how these things unfold and so on. And also is an internal process that yet has, of course, as I said, a relevance for who you become. And this is the way we change. We change slowly. Parts of us can die. Sacrifice yourself. Like a tree. Part of the tree can die. But we also grow new colors, new tissue. And the tissue is shaped in a new way. Yeah, and this is it. This is individuation, basically. This is change. This is the slow change. So we don't change our core identity, but we still change through this process, right? And it's an internal process, all right? And it's an individual process, different for everybody, all right?